Okay, good morning, everybody, and welcome back to our conference and our panel on sustainability. Today, we will continue the discussion that we have launched yesterday on geographical indication and sustainability. For the ones that were not with us yesterday, I'm Massimo Vittori. I'm the Managing Director of Origin. Yesterday, we had a super interesting session on sustainability. We had 2 points of views from the academia with Professor Filippo Arfini, Professor of Agricultural Economics at the University of Parma. He touched upon some very important issues like the need to speak a common language when we try to monitor and assess the sustainability performances in agriculture and on geographical indications in particular. He spoke about the specific needs of small groups in terms of having the financial resources to embark on sustainability, to communicate to consumers. And he also touched upon the issue of verifying, of credibility, having instruments to control and certify those performances. We also had a great presentation from Mr. Brazel, who is representative of the wine producers of Hungary. And he touched upon specifically the issue of the wine sector in Hungary and the efforts they're making to respond to sustainabilities. And he analyzed the 3 main pillars: the economic, the social, and environmental side of sustainabilities. He also touched upon the legal issues that are related to sustainability and the efforts and also the results that the sector is having, for instance, on social and economic, how important it is to support long-term jobs in the community, and also the efforts they are making on environmental sustainability in order to cope with the challenges of climate change. So today we have an amazing opportunity to continue the discussion. Unfortunately, Professor Arfini is not with us this morning, but I'm here. David is here, so we are happy to respond to all your questions. I know already that there are some participants from the floor that ask for the possibility to basically raise points and ask publicly some questions. So I will invite them to now take the floor. If you want to, I also have the list of questions that were asked yesterday. So if you want to reiterate them, we have 1 hour. So you can, if you're here, the people that asked those questions that were not answered yesterday, if you want to raise your hand and mention them publicly, you're welcome. Otherwise, I will at the end of, after the people from the floor have made their remarks, I will ask them to David or try to respond myself. So now the floor is open. I have a list of speakers from the floor. If Miss Juliette Protineau of the Federation of Label Rouge, France, mid-sector, if she's here.
Yes.
Yes, please.
Hello, thank you very much for this interesting event and the thought-provoking interventions that we had yesterday. Thank you for giving me the floor now. I have 2 comments more than questions, actually. First of all, I would like to give you the position of my association, Fedelis, the association that I represent today. Since 2007, Fedelis ensured the defense and the promotion of the French agricultural and agro-food sectors under official quality signs like Label Rouge and PGI and PDO, excluding wine and dairy products. And today I would like to raise a concern. Fedelis asks that the raw materials of processed products and PGI have a local or regional or at least national origin. We know the difference between PDO and PGI, but I think that's important too for the PGIs. For example, for the ham and PGI, the jambon de Bayonne, I don't know if you know it. For this PGI, the pigs used for the ham, they come from the same region, but they don't come from the same PGI area, for example, but this is close. And I think that the fact that the raw materials of PGIs are from the same region, at least, or the same country, this would prevent the imports of raw materials from abroad, from foreign countries. And we think that this is inconsistent with consumers' expectations when they buy GI products. And that would be also more in line with the EU's Farm to Fork strategy goals regarding the 3 pillars of the sustainable development in an economic, social, and environmental way. So that was my first comment, and if you allow me, I will pursue with the second remark.
Please.
Thank you. I just would like to underline also that all the European PGIs are not equal. For example, in terms for poultry production, in terms of methods, specifications, for example, regarding management of free-range area, biodiversity, and a lot of sustainable specifications. We know that, for example, for French PGI's poultry, we go well beyond the requirements implemented in other member states, for example, not all of them for sure, but most of them. And because some PGIs are solely limited to geographical origin, and they don't implement sustainable specifications regarding sustainable development. Sorry. So we think that that can be a problem regarding the level playing field between member states. And on top of that, I think that the instructions by the member states are not equal neither. Some are more picky or finicky than others. So again, this is not a playing field regarding the administrative burden for a group of producers, depending on the country of origin. And I think that there is also a link with sustainability and resilience of the group of producers for PGIs in Europe. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Juliette. I think you raised 2 very important points. It's true that the PGI scheme allows some flexibility, and we see there are different also interpretation and member states, different requirements. And I think, as you said, it's worth debating, how to make sure that this link with the territory remains strong. And I think the Farm to Fork will debate those issues, because these are expectations from consumers. And so I think this will be the right moment to discuss this issue. Davy, I don't know if you want to respond or make any few comments on this.
I think we can agree with Miss Juliette said. So we agree on this point. We have an agreement on this point, and we see also in the wine sector that sometimes the approach of different countries about the GIs are sometimes also different. And also in the wine sector, this is it has also a basic historic approach that we have in the wine world to system of geographical indication, the French, the Neo-Latin system, and the German one. There are two different models, and they have the historical basis, but more or less in the wine sector with the traditional terms, we have the common points between the 2 regulation system.
Okay, so I see that Miss Agata Malak from the University of Warsaw is with us and
yes,
had requested the floor.
Yes,
Please.
I'm just trying to switch on my camera. Yes, welcome everybody. It's really a pleasure to have an opportunity to speak in such an important discussion. I'm sorry, I haven't been a participant yesterday meeting, so maybe I can repeat some conclusions which were already discussed. I'm from Poland. I'm participating now in a very big project related to sustainability of GIs, among others. Also, Filippo Arfini, and yesterday also presented Matthew Gorton. He's the coordinator of this project. So we do a quite interesting research on the sustainability of food quality schemes. And in general, kind of conclusion, we can observe that there are large differences and in terms of the problems between large and smaller GIs. Producers in smaller groups dealing with completely different problems than those which are large, were performing, having large capital of members to perform even sustainability actions. But I would like to raise your attention towards a little bit different area related to sustainability of GIs, because the lion's share of those products are sold mainly through short food supply chains. So this is the mostly local farmers market, farmers shops, on-farm shops. It's mainly, I'm talking smaller GIs. So the distance between a producer and consumer is very close, it's very good. But it has also some advantages and disadvantages in terms of sustainability. And we made a huge research about 500 different chains we were studying. And it occurred that really economic and social benefits are observed in selling in these shorter chains for GIs. And we really see a higher gross margin and higher prices, price margins for those producers. And also producers are quite well rewarded for their additional effort, labor and distribution effort in these shorter chains. Same is with the social sustainability, where products are supporting gender balance and they are better in terms of bargaining power, or producers really like this kind of channels more. However, what is here important, we observed that there is a quite environmental issue in the shorter chains. And it's not related to the production itself, because it depends, of course, on different methods used by the producers. However, the distribution part related to shorter chains is a little bit less environmentally friendly than in longer chains. It is related mainly to unoptimized transport. When we just think about how those products are traveling, usually are traveling by car to some farmer's market, which is less efficient than traveling in a big lorry for even very long chains and very long distances. And also a huge contribution to this environmental issue is the contribution of consumers who are traveling sometimes few kilometers to buy 1 kilogram of cheese from the farm. So I would like to just point this as a kind of attention to solve this kind of problems, and to stress whether that this kind of products also can have a negative impact if they are if we don't care about this kind of issues, and then put consumers into more optimized ways of transporting these products to the farm. So I encourage you to read our papers, which are available on the project website. This is Strength to Food project, to learn more about it. But I think the discussion should start about these environmental issues related to sales of products within shorter chains, which is a lion's share of sales of especially smaller GIs. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Agatha, for bringing to our attention this issue of striking a balance between all the various components of sustainability. And as we said yesterday, the cooperation of the academia, the GI groups, and policymakers will be crucial to strike this right balance. So thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
And I now give the floor to Miriam Molina, who is Secretary General of the Consejo Regulador of the Queso y Ciabadal, Spain, PDO. I saw Miriam before. Yes.
Yeah.
We hear you, Miriam.
Yeah, I'm here, but it said that you are not allowing me to put the camera. Is it possible?
Okay. So technical support will allow you also to put the camera on so we can see you.
Okay, I'll start speaking. Good morning. I want to thank the Commission for this interesting and participative initiative and for the opportunity. Oh, here it is. Okay. And for the opportunity of sharing our opinion with all of you. I represent a small PDO with Izabal cheese from the Basque Country in Spain. Around 400 farms and 125 dairies produce altogether about 1,300 tons of cheese per year. 90% of these dairies produce their cheese only with their own milk, closing the cycle until the cheese is sold, usually in their own facilities. The basis of the PDO is raw sheep milk of local breeds whose diet is based on grazing. I assume that under these conditions, and taking into account the long history of the GI products, their systems, in a very general way, are quite sustainable. The reality of GIs is very viable, and I think each one has strengths in terms of sustainability and other aspects that could be improved. We think we should work in two different ways. First of all, we propose an evaluation of sustainability values that already has each GI intrinsically linked to each one, and to work on their preservation and valorization. And on the other hand, each GI should detect improvement areas in order to assume future commitments to work in. For this analysis, public financial support is essential, especially for the smallest producer groups. But in addition, the control and certification of these sustainability factors, which could easily be assumed by the GIs as certification bodies, might be economically affordable for a small producer, I say. And so we have been trying for years to publicize the importance of local breeds, extensive management systems, source supply chains, cultural heritage, rural development, etc., when it seemed that these aspects were not valued by consumers. And now that they are fortunately trendy, we see how big companies create private labels and invert a lot of money on marketing actions that, of course, GIs are not able to develop, some of us. As producers, we are really and deeply convinced of the importance of implementing requirements for environmental, economic, and social sustainability. But we are really concerned. We are not sure if we will be able. We really need enough resources to enhance our sustainability attributes, to improve them, to certify them, and to communicate them. And I would like to add one last idea, and this is about the sustainability of European policy on GIs. We deeply believe that the guarantees of this policy has been the key for the survival and strengthening of GI products. And that is why we are concerned now about simplifying administration procedures for the GI's recognitions and modifications of their specifications by giving this responsibility to the national administration. We really see a significant risk of lack of harmonization on it. And we think that developing guidelines for those competent national administration could be not enough. So we wanted to ask to the Commission to continue playing a leading role and to monitor closely and continuously the member states' actions. We strongly believe that the reputation of GIs and the future success depends to a large extent on this control and harmonization by the Commission. And that was all. Thank you very much for your attention.
Very much, Miriam, and what you say is very, very important, because this issue of how small producers can be supported in order to make those controls and ensure sustainability. You launched the idea of financial support. You mentioned very well the idea of facilitating the procedures, simplifying the procedures. And I would add also, to respond to one question in the chat, the financial risks which are disproportionate for primary producers. I think it's important, and already the debate is launched. It was a proposal of origin, which has been accepted by the Parliament. It's important in the new CAP to have instruments that would allow primary producers to get a fair share of the added value, because it's not always the case, and it's important that that fair share is ensured in order to allow them to continue to keep the huge investments are needed today, and also to make the additional efforts to include sustainability, or to further, I would say, further include sustainability into their production. So thank you so much. David, do you want to say anything on this? I think it's very important also your point of view on this.
I think we have a common point with Ms. Molina, that I am representing also, in fact, compared to the whole European and world wine sector, Hungary is a small country with 63,000 hectares. So it means divided in 32 PDOs and 6 GIs. It means the surfaces are and the products are very small compared to the big companies and the big GIs of Europe. And we have at the moment a lot of discussion also in Hungary how we can be competitive with other sectors like the beer, the spirits, because also not only the GI, the Hungarian wine GIs, but also the Hungarian wine sector is on this question, and we are very good feedback with the rural development programs on the promotion of GIs. The national authorities can apply this promotion measure, which can which is less bureaucratic, less administrative, like the big promotion programs, and is 100% on the hand of the national, or maybe in Spain regional or authorities. I can suggest you to come to try this form of promotion policy, because in Hungary with this the government is the attention to give possibilities to promote smaller groups of producers, including GIs, GI producers, PDOs, PGIs as well.
Thank you, David. I know that Christopher Zimmer is with us as well. He has requested the floor and he will have to leave in a few minutes. So, Christoph, welcome.
Thank you very much, Massimo, for the opportunity to speak. Well, we have several really good attempts in the farm to fork strategy in the EU Green Deal, but I really have doubts that we get problems with the GIs. For instance, with the carbon footprint. We have, I'm from the Bäuerliche Erzeugergemeinschaft, we have an old pig breed, the traditional breed, and if
Christopher, we lost you. We couldn't hear, I don't know what happened to your mic. Let's try again.
Hello?
Yeah, now we can hear you. We can hear you. If you can speak slowly as well.
Well,
not too fast.
I try again. So.
Yeah.
well, I really have doubt about different things like the Nutri-Score or carbon footprint regulations from the EU that we can damage the GIs, because in some attributes they will not competitive to industrial products. For instance, our pig has a lower litter size and a lower feed conversion ratio, and therefore you need more food to produce pigs if you compare it with conventional breeds. If you have a closer look, you see we can use a low input feed, and therefore it's not in the big picture. It's not a problem. It's good because it will work for something like this. But if we have this labeling and we have the GI, or in our case it's a PGI, and on the other side it's a red label for Nutri-Score because maybe processed products have more fat content, or a red label for carbon footprint, it will damage the image of this product. And I really have big concerns for this kind of different labeling system, which may damage GIs.
Can you please tell us also the GI you represent, you work for?
I work for the Bäuerliche Erzeugergemeinschaft Schwäbisch Hall in Germany. It's a farmers association with roughly 1,500 farmers, and the PGI is Schwäbisch Hällisches Qualitätsschweinefleisch GGA. It's a pork. It's pork from a traditional breed.
Yes, thank you. You bring to the discussion another important element, which will be discussed in the Farm to Fork, the Nutri-Score, and it's true, it's an issue because geographical indications have a process of production which cannot be changed, because that link to the tradition is the very essence. So I think a compromise will have to be found there, and I think also meetings like this are important in order to launch the issue and raise awareness and make sure we can find sensible solutions for the GI sector in this respect. David? No, okay. It's something that, of course, it's partially different, the problem for the wine sector. So I have on my list now also Martina Mondini, but I don't see her. No, so there were, except nobody else wants to speak. There were some interesting questions yesterday, for instance, from the Irish Beef Producers Association. If anybody's here and wants to repeat the question, otherwise I will ask the question to David. It's again linked to primary producers and the fact that to ensure sustainability, they need a premium return on products. And what can be done in the CAP, at the CAP level, Common Agricultural Policy, in order to ensure that, and also what can be done at the European level for further promoting GIs and increase the number of GI registrations. If the first part of the question we already touched upon. Yeah, you can develop it.
Concerning the promotion that I said, we have at the moment good experience with the rural development measures on promoting GI products and quality European quality system. This promotion, this measure, this support program can be a good example for the future for the member states. But concerning the first part of the question, I didn't really understand the first part of the question with the CAP. Can you, Massimo, repeat it?
Yes, what kind of measures can be taken in order to ensure that a fair share of the value goes to primary producers?
Yes, this is the biggest issue at the moment in Hungary since 2017. As interbranch organization, we introduced some measures linked to the contracts, the long-term contracts. At the moment that we have as experience, it's only the long-term contracts can be worked. It should be always balanced because the one hand, the producers are demanding a security via for example, in Hungary, always the question is fixing prices of the raw materials, etc., etc. But as against the European law, it's always a big issue how we can manage the interest of the both side. But but this year we had a good experience between the wineries and the grape producers, that they after 5-year discussion, they understood that the both side, the interest of both sides should be taken into the account, and it's taken via the interbranch contract measures that we arrived to stabilize the incomes of grape producers in Hungary.
Thank you very much, David. I have also from yesterday 2 specific questions addressed to you. One from Patrick Chatnay. What specific sustainability criteria are included and compulsory in the Hungarian GI wine specifications? And the other one from Natalia Mogol. It's how did Hungary formalize in terms of legislation or strategy, rather strategy, I would say, the future development of the wine sector in your country?
Okay. I start with the second question because it has actual very important elements, because we are discussing about a new law on wine in Hungary. It was presented yesterday to the parliament. So at the moment, this is on the whole. We have a whole discussion about the strategy of the wine sector, including the GIs. We have a good experience with Austrian and Austrian system, and we would like to introduce more or less this system in Hungary, or adaptation of this system in Hungary. The second question was if I had a good understanding about the sustainability, the elements of sustainability in the product specification in Hungary. At the moment, it's a voluntary. It's not demanded by the Ministry of Agriculture. But if new products are, and for example, the new products would be introduced into the product specification, a short analysis, market analysis, should be presented for the Ministry of Agriculture in order to know if the market is demanding or not of this product. But at the moment, the sustainability is not really an obligatory, mandatory element of the GI product specification in Hungary, but we are reflection about this issue.
Thank you, David. I see that Ignacio Rabassa is asking a question. Ignacio, do you want to take the floor and ask directly the question? That would be great. And also if you can introduce yourself.
Okay. I believe that my camera is not function correctly. So
no problem, no problem.
Okay.
We hear you well.
Okay, my name is Ignacio Rabasa. I'm teacher from an IP Master of University of Alicante. And my question is next. GIs are IP rights, but they are also part of the common agricultural policy. If sustainability becomes a requirement for GIs recognition and registration, if it happens in future, who will assume the costs and risks to modify all the existing product specifications that could be against environmental or sustainable policies? Thank you.
Yes. David, who will assume the cost if it becomes compulsory? Having said that, on the table at the moment in the new CAP, there is a voluntary possibility for groups that wish to do so, to include sustainability criteria in the specifications, but I let David respond.
Okay. Thank you for this very interesting question, but at the moment, I don't have really a good answer on this question. The over cost of the production, it's one of the main question, as you mentioned in your question. But really, I don't have really the answer on this issue. We didn't have at the moment an analysis about this question. Maybe Mr. Affini could better answer of this question, but he isn't with us today because he's teaching at the moment.
Okay, thank you.
I think also in the I don't know, Ignacio, if you listen to Miriam Molina from the case of Izadabal, that mentioned the need to have financial support, the need to better ensure the distribution of the added value in the value chain to primary producers in order to be able to cover those costs. I think that the approach taken by the European Parliament in the CAP, it's wise in the sense that we are in a transition. We, as a community, I think in Europe, as a political and social community, we are understanding the importance to deal with sustainability from an environmental, social, and economic point of view. So we need to ensure the transition. So this voluntary approach will allow groups that are ready to do so or to go ahead with sustainability. And the problem is that the market is moving towards those issues. Consumers are requiring more and more. So I think the message is for everybody to look at it and get ready to prepare. And as any transition, you need a little bit of time, and you need to provide the instruments to financial and in terms of awareness, in terms of solid criteria to measure, to allow everybody to move towards this which has been identified as an important goal.
Okay, thank you.
And this also leads me to the question from Manuel Boss of the mission of Switzerland to the EU. That he says there is a need to define common objective for sustainable GIs and as well indicators. Common objectives, common indicators, but at the same time, he doesn't believe it's wise to compare GI to another one in the sense that then every GI, given its specific history, specific characteristic, will have to deal with issues and enter into a process of improvement in terms of sustainability without making a comparison one another, which is, I think it's a good point. I don't know, David, if you want to develop on this.
Maybe a few words. Yeah, but I said also yesterday, this is a little bit when I was student at University of Montpellier in France, they had the approach of production bassin de production. It means that each GIS has a special social economic reality, and each production basin should be analyzed one by one, because we have maybe methods of analysis, but we don't have, we are, even in Hungary, we can compare two GIs, two wine region, one to the other, even two wine GIs very close to each other are different social economic circumstances.
Thank you very much. I think we have asked all the questions that were on the chat yesterday, all the questions raised today. We still have some 10 minutes, even 15 minutes. So if anybody wants to take the floor, this is an amazing opportunity. Yes, I see Christian raise his hand. Christian, you have the floor. Please introduce yourself.
Yeah, thank you, Massimo. Christian Jochum from the Austrian Chamber of Agriculture. I'm also chairman of the Working Party on Food Quality at Copa Cogeca. I would again come back to what Christoph Zimmer said from the Schwäbisch Hellish pork breed. We should be cautious because in the public discussion there is a mixture of different issues. Sustainability is one, nutrition and improving the average diets of the Europeans is another one. And as part of the farm to fork strategy, there is the idea of the mandatory introduction of the front of pack nutrition labeling. We have also to have this in mind, how GIs can react on this, because as Christoph said, the specificity of some, not all, but some or many GIs is that they have traditional breeds with lots of fat or with lots of salt. So ingredients which are not in line with this, so to say, modern approach of good nutrition. And coming back to the sustainability issue, I agree with you that we should avoid, or with the Swiss comment, that we should avoid that we compare among each other who is more sustainable than the other one. But the question is, if we do not reach to have, so to say, a general exemption from this sustainability assessment, we have to find a toolbox how to deal with it. And there again, what was also mentioned by the Polish colleague, we see that many GIs, so to say, are not really so sustainable in comparison with a modern supermarket product from a big international company, depending on how you define the criteria to how to measure sustainability. Thank you.
Thank you, Christian. I would just say two things. You know, if we speak about nutrition, then it's true that GIs might have an issue in changing, you know, the production method, because that's the specificity itself. So for GIs, you need rather to an approach that would allow consumers to better understand what it means a sustainable diet, a nutritious diet, which includes a variety of food, you know. But in terms of environmental performances, specifically on the issue that was mentioned by Agatha, I think there is an improvement that can be made in terms of, like, you know, streamlining and making more efficient the process of distribution. And this is something that I think an effort that can be done. For instance, in a different area, but still related to environmental sustainability, we recently had a webinar with Origin and the FAO that was focused on environmental sustainability of PDO cheeses. And we had excellent presentations from cheeses that had benefited from life projects, specifically the Life DOP and the Life the Tough Get Going, that were conceived in order to provide software and tools to reduce the emission in the production. So I think that there are certain aspects that are intrinsic to the GI that cannot be changed, and for that we need to find exceptions, a different approach. There are certain aspects that can be improved, and again, the European Union, and also we had a presentation from the European Union itself on the evolution of the LIFE projects in light of the EU Green Deal, in order to add resources, to have a more comprehensive approach. So I think that those instruments can be extremely useful to improve some specific performances, which are perfectly compatible with the product specification. Just a question, for instance, that what Agatha was saying is mainly distribution, being more efficient in distributing. Okay. We have Bruno Menne from Coppa Cogeca. Yes, Bruno.
Hello, good morning, everybody. No, just to comment on this, as Christian expressed, and I believe that, of course, as you just said, we can improve the environment sustainability of GIs, but each GI has its own particularities based on their product, the way they produce. So if we impose a basic system like a one and only system to make the GIs more environmentally sustainable, that wouldn't work. So this idea of Christian of proposing basically a toolbox of different criteria of sustainability that you could pick in, that could be a solution. So let's say you would have like 15, 20 different possibilities to implement sustainability, way to do it. And each GIs to be more sustainable would have to pick 5 of them, for example. And that would leave some room to adapt to each GI particularities somehow. I'm curious to hear what you would think about it and what other participants are thinking about it. Thank you very much.
I totally agree with you. I would give the floor to David. Just would say that also is something that can be done. You know, once you have this toolbox, I think the discussion has to be done within each sectors, because then every sector will have particular specificities, and it's important to have a sectoral approach, I believe. David.
Yes, the question of sustainability in the environmental side is, but we see in Hungary in other more horizontal measures linked to the environmental issues, that it's always better when the producer, in this case the community of producers, can choose between the different possibilities and choose and adapt these possibilities on the environmental, social and economic circumstances. And so I think this is it could be the better way. And what I stressed also yesterday, the voluntarity and the reflection of the group of producers is always the key elements of sustainable of the sustainability of GIs, because if something is mandatory, is always less efficient, because the importance of GIs are always common thinking about the future of the producers and the products behind.
Thank you so much. We have now Corrales. I was not told if Miss or Mr. Yes.
Thank you.
Gonzalo.
Thanks for giving me the floor. Well, I'm first of all, thank you for all this interesting exchange of view. I'm represent.
Gonzalo, can you just speak a bit louder or closer to the mic?
Okay, now it's better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I was saying that thanks to all of you for this interesting contribution. Also, my previous colleague, which I know them from Brussels, I represent the Spanish Farmer Union UPA, Unión de Pequeños Agricultores, and I'm Brussels Director Office in the UBABAL. So, from our point of view, I just want to make one small remark concerning what the debate it has been talked about before about CAP and sustainability. For our point of view, the most important to get sustainability in both three dimensions, economic and social and economic activity, is to have, for the farmer perspective and the producer, is to have fair prices. Once we have fair prices, we get it, everything comes behind. In this sense, for example, what can we do from Brussels, or what can we do at national level? We are happy with the new directive implemented at European level in the unfair trade practices, UTPs, which is very important from the point of view of the farmer to at least not, because it was said before from David, it goes to against the competition law to fix prices, but we can make reference prices. And we are doing in Spain, also incorporating this directive in the European directive. We are transposing to the food national law, new law, which is called Ley de Cadena Agroalimentaria, in which we are being able, now it's been doing the new system, to fix together with university studies, the interbranch organizations, and the fresh prices to at least protect the producer to get a minimum level which cover the goods production. This is the maximum we have been asked, at least in my organization at Spanish All Farmer Organization level, we have been asking for getting not being possible sold below cost. So that's the maximum important. And secondly, more specifically, when it comes to the EIs and more concretely to, especially in the context of the new reform with the food strategy, farm to farm strategy, it's very important for our point of view, and it comes together with the labeling, and it goes with the importance of GAs, which is compulsory labeling. Actually, we think it's not just for the producer point of view, but also for consumer. This is many surveys at European and national level asking that from the point of view of consumer, they are demanding to have the indicator of compulsory labeling. And we, in this sense, I can say that we have asked in the European Commission an ETSI, European Citizen Initiative, together with colleagues from the farmer organizations from all around Europe and consumer like Slow Food and other organizations to collect, and we have collected more than 1 million signatures from quite a lot more, in asking the Commission to say something about labeling compulsion in origin. So for me, it's very important, and it goes and it helps the geographical indication, which is very important to come with the labeling indication. So that's my two remarks that I wanted to stress for the point of view of the producer organization. We are also members for Copa Coyeca, and I think that's important to stress. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Gonzalo, for having brought to the table two additional elements, the compulsory labeling and fair practices, and the implementation of the European regulation in that sense, and what you're doing in Spain. Thank you very much. David, quick reaction from you?
I think the objectives of UPA is the same than in Hungary. We are working also on reference prices, etc., and also the question of fair trade prices are also in our objective, and we are working on this way as well.
Excellent. So, we have time for another question from the floor. It's a good opportunity because you have some 60 participants that will listen to you. If not, we are anyway approaching 10:30. Let me conclude by thanking all of you for your attention, for your questions, for your remarks. To thank the speakers, David, that has been with us yesterday and today, Filippo, who is teaching at university, or rather in another Zoom call, given the circumstances, and to thank again the Commission, DG Agri, to thank the European Union IP Office for this interesting initiative. I think as we have learned and listened in these 2 days, this sustainability is the topic, is a crucial topic. All of us in our individual life will have to cope with it and give our little contribution to a more sustainable future. I think it's clear that GIs can play a key role. We have learned that there are some issues. In spite of the fact that it's a common objective and we can all agree with it, there are very specific issues related to making sustainability requirements compulsory or voluntary. There is an issue of costs for small primary producers. There is a question of finding indicators, but also adapting them to the reality of the GIs. Also the need not to compare one another, but rather seeing this as a process, as a continuous improvement. So I think there will be a lot of work to do, and I think the cooperation of all the various associations, sectoral association, GIs association, more general agricultural association is going to be very important, and keep the dialogue open. I think we have, from the Commission side, we have a partner who is ready to listen and to incorporate our inputs. Also academia, as we have seen with Filippo and several other participants that spoke about their own initiatives and research, is going to be very, very important. So let's keep the dialogue open, let's continue our discussion, and let's find solutions which are, of course, solid in order to ensure a sustainable future, but also that are sensitive and that take into account the specificity of each sectors, and in particular the specificity of the GIs, which have in their traditions and linked to the territory, the very specificity, which in some instances we have learned cannot be modified or changed, because in that case we will lose the essence itself of the geographical indication. So with this, I wish you all well, to stay safe and healthy, and I hope to see you soon in person. Bye-bye.